Hello everybody, Brad Johnson here, and I'm happy to bring forward the next top 5 video. Now it's been quite some time since I've done the last one, but here we are today looking at the Adronis top 5 questions for September of 2017. So I'll begin by reading out the questions, then I'll bring Adronis in and he can share insight with them. So the first question is, what can be shared regarding the hurricane activity occurring right now? Are these geo-engineered storms? So before I bring Adronis in, what I basically want to share with everybody is that there is power within our own collective minds. And the more that we're able to come together and unite and bring our energies together, these particular storms can be dissipated. There's been so many different forms of case studies that have shared that when mass meditations come together, there are incredible transformations that take place. So with Adronis going to share his insight here in a moment, it's very important that we do our best to come together, whether it's local groups, whether it's online groups, and it's no longer about the aspect of debating things to death. Look into what is. Look into what's actually happening right now and come together and starting to unite and bring all of this powerful collective mind intention together, collective body, collective spirit, and this is what helps us to govern our world. This is what we're attempting to become familiar with, to be trained and understand and understood that this is something that we have the capability to steward. We're basically attempting to understand how to run our own planet. We cannot do that by jumping down each other's throats about minutia that represents other forms that are only meant to create distraction and other forms of chaos. When we have these particular situations of hurricanes that are coming together, this is all part of a call of telling everybody, get together. Stop complaining about things that continue to divide and separate you. Come together and unify. Look into the idea of how this is harming people. And it's not just about the idea of North America. It's all over the world. All these other countries as well, too, that have been going through some severe weather conditions or any other particular type of phenomena that's taking place. We are one people. It's not just about the United States. It's not just about Canada. It's about the entire world. And so this is where we need to unify, come together, put our minds together as one, and create a cooperation. And that's what's going to help shrink a lot of these particular threats that do come as it relates to weather disasters like this. So anyways, I will go ahead and bring Adronis in, and he'll share perspective as it relates to this question. Here we go. Relating to the first question, as it relates to hurricane activity, and is this something that is being geo-engineered? Absolutely. The idea of having this many continuous flows of intense hurricanes within just the start of your early September month and the late portion of your August month is basically quite unusual. And this is all part and parcel in the idea of a defeat effect. Basically, what is happening is that there are certain power elite groups that are contained within the area of your southern polar region of your planet. They are occupying specific degrees of technology that resemble very similar aspects to your own HARP technology, but not exactly to that degree. It is much more of a sophisticated array. It basically, shall we say, covers a very large landscape as it relates to this particular ancient technology. And again, that this ancient technology would be that of what you would know as revived Atlantean technology, as it was all about the Atlanteans in the times past, that they were actually able to manipulate the weather, just like much of your own governmental forces have been able to manipulate weather through HARP and any other particular types of devices that can utilize scalar microwave forms of energies. And so basically these are what you would know as gathering energies from other particular areas of the planet and then pumping it into these particular storms. This is why there has been certain forms of drought This is why there have also been the idea of depleting areas of water in the areas of your Southern America continent. That there have been, in that sense, water that has actually been sucked up, as it were, energy that has been sucked up, inhaled into this particular system, and then utilizing the idea of the jet stream to propel this energy into upcoming storms and basically amplifying them. Not so much geoengineering, but more so in the idea of geo-amplifying. The storms in that sense are not being created out of thin air. They are basically utilizing the aspect of a certain degree of momentum and putting much more of this energy into what was originally, in that sense, a mediocre type storm in that particular way. And so these particular forms of energies relating to the aspect of technology is, yes, causing much of these particular intense hurricanes that have been taking place. Through that, the idea of the hurricane that just came off your state of Texas, with another particular hurricane even more intense as it relates to the Irma hurricane, as it has been termed, moving towards your east coast. So our particular recommendation is precisely from what Brad has shared as well too. The more that you come together, this is exactly why all of these situations have happened. Because the more that these particular forms of groups feel that they have divided you, that they have broken you, that they will be able to perform any particular type of act of terrorism in this particular way upon the civilization. We broke these people. They can't do anything. We're going to create these storms and they will simply face the effects. They don't know their power. They don't realize their potential. They are separated. They are small. And so here we are, and we can reign supreme because we have this technology. And again, that is very much their belief. But you are not divided truly. You are not small. You are not insignificant because there is no such thing within the universe itself. Everyone is connected as one. And the more that you come together and allow yourselves to work as one, you will be able to govern yourselves as efficient forms of caretakers upon this planet. Those that simply hide in fear will stay with what they create. That's simply how it works as it relates to vibration. If you have no means of feeling that you are willing to inspire yourself and move yourself into this alignment of helping others, of working together, of being able to function as stewards upon your planet, and being able to develop a love field, a blanket of love, all across your planet, where it is stronger more than any other particular type of corruption or anything that is attempting to be imposed through the idea of influence throughout your planet, then you will truly function as these natural stewards. You will have this golden blanket of love that will always coat the earth, and nothing technological, no outside group could ever touch you. Simply because this entire planet is being blanketed with love by its human children. And that is why you're here. That's why these particular storms take place. Even though they do have geo-amplification technology happening, it's all part and parcel of the earth telling humans to get together, to unify, to come together, to stop feeling like you're a victim, to try to feel that you need to debate every little thing to death that gets you nowhere. And being able to come together, align, focus as one, align as one, bring your love together. Stop feeling that you need to clench the injury and feeling that you're outside of the one. Because if you feel that you're outside of the one, that just represents an arrogance of one who feels that they're greater than the one. So the whole key here is being able to come together, to share in the abilities of yourselves, and realizing that when common thought aligns, everything has the opportunity to change. The power of that one intention, the power of that one focus can rebirth your entire planet overnight into that of a loving paradise, if you are willing to cooperate with each other, rather than being at each other's throats. That would be the idea. That's why these storms come together. You are running out of time. And what we mean by that is that there is going to be this splitting of worlds. There is going to be a density shift. And that the more that are starting to realize and opening their eyes of understanding that all of these events that are taking place is all part and parcel of helping everyone come together. That is what's bringing you into a much more loving energy of a new world that represents a different density, that represents a different dimension. If you stay in panic, you stay with what you create. If you come together, if you share your love, if you are open-minded, if you connect to the true love of yourself and feel that love with others, work together. You are not here to do this all by yourself. You are here to align with those beings of like mind, of loving intentions, and function as these true stewards. That's why you're here. So, this is simply a reminder that we want to share with your collective. We thank you. Number 2 is it true that within the next year or so, a new financial system may be coming online? We thank you very much for your question. As it relates to that of a new financial system, this is an approximation about what will be happening, but yes, this is exactly why there has been a great deal of collective turmoil that is happening upon your planet right now, with the idea of these geo-amplifying storms and other particular forms of phenomena. It's all part and parcel in that sense to prevent the aspect of a new system coming together. It's all part and parcel in that sense of attempting to preserve an old dying empire. And basically in that sense that if these particular people that are behind much of the geo-amplifying storms, etc., are not being placed in any sort of power, they will retaliate horrendously. And this is basically what's happening right now. So, as you look at much of the state of the world, as it relates to much of these conditions that are taking place, this is all part and parcel in that sense, yes, of preventing a certain grassroots system that's coming together. Now, the idea of your financial system in that sense will actually have many different compartments to it. A new financial system will not just govern the idea of one particular system. One of the major systems that is coming online would be that of what you would know as gold-backed currency. That is basically going to be controlled more so in the idea of within your Asian continent, with your Asian people in that particular way. But there will be other particular types of financial systems that are coming together. One of these financial systems would be that of what you would know as your cryptocurrencies, a decentralized aspect. The idea of the gold-backed currencies in that sense is basically that of a cleanup, and it will not in that sense empower itself through the idea of any particular type of centralization. It is basically being a cleaned system. However, there can be certain forms of possible corruptions that can still exist within a certain form of legal tender-backed system. Again, that is still representing much of the assets pertaining to a certain area of your planet that contains much of this wealth. That could be something that could be debatable in that way. But the whole idea in regards to how the debt system, to how the financial system of old has been, that is on the way out. That is basically being able to collapse. And many of these particular forms of hidden powers, as it were, are basically doing what they can to try and protect this empire. And so this is why there has been many different forms of delays as it represents rolling out one of these majority-based financial systems of new, representing that of gold-backed legal tender. So, yes, it is fundamentally true that pretty much everyone's debt on this planet is going to be erased within approximately the next year or two, around that time. Again, we do not have an exact date for you, because it all depends in regards to how things play out. Many of these other opposing factors are doing everything they can to basically hold on to this grip. In fact, much of your original financial rollout was supposed to happen back in 2012. And so throughout these past 5 years, there have been a great deal of delays being able to roll out much of this financial system, this new financial system that would be gold-backed in that way. So there have been a lot of significant plugs in the work, a lot of kinks in the works, a lot of wrenches thrown in the works as it relates to the financial system. However, there is the idea that much of the old elitists in that sense are losing much of their grasp, and they are moving into the idea of basically realizing that there's nowhere else to go, as it would relate to the idea that the people are once again taking their power back. And so the whole idea here is to remain steadfast, is to continue to share information, continuing to educate yourselves and to each other, continuing to come together and unifying yourselves. That is the greatest strength that humanity itself can create upon itself right now. We thank you. Can you talk more about this solar flare event that is responsible for taking us into fourth density? We thank you once again for your question. As it relates to your solar event, we would basically be stating that the event itself, as we have stated, is that of events, not just an event. It is the idea that the event would represent a culmination or a sequence of many different events that are taking place. But it is not one big, gigantic, sudden event that's going to happen that's going to shift everything. It is all part and parcel of the idea that there are increments that are coming together. There are octaves. And through these octaves will represent certain forms of experiences, events taking place that are helping to shape the framework, the platform, as it relates to you moving into a fourth density Earth. All of this is part of the whole. It's not the idea of looking at something and saying that this is outside and this is what's going to be the game changer. No, everything brings itself back into one. There is no separation here. And so basically there will be continual forms of coronal activity taking place throughout your sun. There will be continuous solar winds that will take place. It will start to amplify much of the aurora activity upon your planet. In fact, it will not be too long before many of you within your, shall we say, lower areas of North America, and again even across the equator, may start to see these auroras taking place. That there will be continued geomagnetic activity that will be happening. And basically you will notice that the aurora borealis will eventually start to encompass almost your entire planet. And that is basically where things are heading. So when you start to tune into this and start to see that the aurora borealis activity is really starting to stretch itself a lot more further, this is giving you more the idea of what you would know as the culmination into leading from one theme into another. But there is no ending here. There is no beginning here. There is only the aspect of flow, of sequence. And so when you move into a fourth density Earth, you're still going to go through challenges. You're still going to work together with others. But it will be a very different density as it relates to your own manifestations, your own thoughts, your own feelings. This is why we understand that certain people want to create the idea that everybody is going to move to fourth density. No, they are not. The whole idea is that this is a very select vibration. Everything relates to the idea of the correlation of certain vibration. That a certain vibrational energy is what represents the aspect of fourth density. It takes a certain vibrational energy to coexist within that particular type of planet. Now, as we stated, the percentages can be quite high, but the whole idea here is that it really involves you being of loving energy to yourself, because that is the idea of the reciprocating emotion. It's the idea that if you have a tuning fork vibrating in resonance here, and you are able to keep yourself clear and not basically vibrating at a different resonance, and that clear tuning fork comes together in contact with that other, you will be able to vibrate in resonance. That is what this new Earth represents. That's the idea of a fourth density planet. It operates on a certain vibrational frequency, and it's allowing you to become much more coherent as your own frequency falls in line together by surrendering yourself, by letting yourself work with these intense emotions that have taken place, being able to bring your love vibration into a very much higher scale. This is the time where you really need to do your own self-work, more now than ever before. It is about tuning into yourself. It is about bringing yourself into that alignment of such beautiful love that exists within yourself. That love vibration, that complement of yourself, that value that you see, that is what is required to being able to work with these emotions and transform them. Well, Adronis, what happens if I'm not feeling that loving? What happens if I feel that this fear is just too great? Then you will be conquered by your fear, and you will stay with what you create out of that fear. Simple as that. Well, Adronis, does that mean I may perish into third density? Possibly. It all depends in regards to what comes together within your life that represents the aspect of your fear. Because those that basically stay in third density are remaining in regards to the idea of much of this victim consciousness. The idea of feeling sacrificed. The idea of feeling that they are not worthy of bringing themselves up into higher levels of empowerment. They will stay inside that pit. Whatever the occurrence that exists within that pit is what they are going to experience. So, the whole idea here of this solar event that's taking place, or again, sequences of solar events that's going to take place, is that it will be a sky-based phenomenon. It will be something that is coming from the sky. Many of you will see this, almost like a flash of light, that then shifts you into another replicated Earth of fourth density. Everything will look exactly as it was. Some of you may just say, whoa, what the heck was that? And you're just continuing on with life as it needs be, not being aware that you have actually shifted into another dimensional energy, into another dimensional planetary platform. That's how this is going to happen. That's how this is going to take place, is that there will be a great deal of increase as it relates to solar activity. There will be a great deal of increase in regards to the span of the aurora borealis upon your planet. There will be a great increase of a lot of tension, a lot of heat coming from your collective consciousness as you're exploring it now. We cannot give you precise details because all of you are co-creating this together. It would literally be impossible for us to summarize it because all of you are experiencing this transformation in your own unique way. You will all be experiencing fourth density in your own unique way. That there is a platform that you will all share, just like there's a platform here that you will all share, yes. But you're going to be sharing it a lot more differently as it relates to your perspectives. That's how this reality works. But as we've stated, in fourth density, there is a lot more lucidity as it relates to intention, as it relates to feeling, as it relates to focus. There is a lot more, shall we say, opportunity to connect with a lot more of dimensionality existing in between the fabrics of what you would know as your own planetary matrix. Working with apparition, working with other beings that exist in different dimensions. But those who do graduate, that move into fourth density, will usher in much of what you would know as a cooperative. That's basically what's happening. That's why certain beings upon your planet are representing a certain vibration so that they are able to move into fourth density. It would basically state that those who already know that they're moving into fourth density are already aware that this is taking place. In fact, they will already start to feel that their foot's in the door, that they're already starting to walk across the lawn, as it were, as it relates to fourth density. The screen has closed behind them, and they know they've already been locked in. And there are those in that sense who are still very, very hesitant about themselves. Am I in third? Am I in fourth? Am I going to fourth? Am I going to have to stay here in third? What do I have to do? What do I have to do? What do I have to do? We've already told you. It's all coming into the balancing of yourself, working with the heavy emotions, giving yourself that loving energy. If you are ultimately confused, you are not shifting yourself properly. You're not bringing yourself into self-time. You're feeling fragmented based upon all the affairs that are happening externally. Whereas there are some importances to those degrees, there is nothing that is more important than going within yourself and checking in with yourself and connecting with yourself and working with those feelings of negativity. Being able to, again, bring yourself into a state of complement. We cannot emphasize this more. We really have nothing more that we can say that would give you any more of an inspiration to look into yourself, other than to say you are made out of love yourself. You're not made out of anything else. So, this is your journey. This is your goal. Nobody is here to do this for you. You have to do this yourself. There are helpers. There are guides. There is assistance. but you still have to do it yourself. These are basically people who are helping you, beings who are helping you understand what needs to be done, but you have to do the work. It's not like the teacher in the classroom is going to come over and start giving you all the answers to this test. This is your test. This is your exam. This is your transformation. This is your evolution. There's nobody else here to do it for you. So, this is what's important to grasp, to realize. It all comes together with sound body, sound mind, sound heart, sound spirit. And the more that can come together, the more that you will naturally graduate in vibration to that earth. It's all about vibration, frequency, energy, harmonics here. If you are able to vibrate that in your own natural being, that is what is crossing the threshold from one dimension to another through you. We thank you. Would the idea of global first contact accelerate when in fourth density, or are the timelines meant to stay the same as previously predicted? We thank you very much for your question. As it relates to that of global first contact, it will still basically stay the same as it has been shared before. Because even though when you move into fourth density, there is still a transition effect, there is still a sequence that needs to take place, because you will be operating on a replicated earth in that way. But again, genuine to that of the fourth density, but there is still a lot of quote-unquote repair, refinement, renewal that needs to take place. So again, sometime around the area of 2050, give or take around that time. But again, you'll start to see more build-up taking place around that time as it relates to the idea of other forms of personal contact, group-based contact, moving more into, shall we say, different countries, starting to unveil much of their own information in that sense. So there basically, in that sense, will be still some sense of order as it relates to fourth density, because as you've stated, you're working on a replicated Earth. You're moving yourselves onto another planet that is a polished version as what it represents to your understanding of the Earth right now. What happens to discarnate souls at this time of merging? Will some incarnate onto the 4D Earth and others on a suitable 3D planet in accordance with their soul development? Okay, thank you. We thank you once again for your question. Those who are discarnate souls will basically have a choice. It's the idea that the soul will have a choosing, that if they feel that they have not learned through their own aspects of emotion, and that they are still tethered very strongly to a third density Earth, because the third density is shifting into the fourth density, those particular souls may have to go to another particular type of school, going to another planet that would be somewhat similar to Earth. Basically, we could state that no third density aspect souls are now being accepted upon the Earth plane anymore. All particular souls that are coming together on this plane are compliant with fourth density. So if there is basically, in that sense, an old fellow that was very much into greed, very much into manipulation, very much into hatred, very much into using people, that person would not be allowed access to return back into the Earth plane again. They would have to go somewhere else, simply because Earth is changing. She is raising her vibration up to such a strong degree that many of these souls that represented such aforementioned natures will have to go to another particular school. So yes, the aspect of discarnate souls that are able to match the frequency. And really it's no more different than looking at the aspect of what you would know as your theater or film auditions. If you are able to meet the aspect of the part, you will get the part in fourth density. The fourth density play, the fourth density film, and that the casting that's taking place. If you meet the part, if you represent everything that the part has to itself, you will graduate into that fourth density as a discarnate soul that will then be able to incarnate again. But again, as we've stated, for those who are very much into fear, negativity, etc., will move into another particular school taking place, because the Earth is no longer accepting applications as it represents to those particular, shall we say, souls that are still going through those deep personal struggles. Their school must continue elsewhere. So yes, there will still be fourth density souls incarnating as you move further into fourth density. There still will be the idea of procreation experiencing itself as it always has been in fourth density. But again, as we've stated, that the full scope of fourth density will not even really be fully understood until about the next 50 to 100 years. You will still be existing in a fourth density planet, but you really won't be able to understand the depth of what it means to be in fourth density on a collective level within about that 50 to 100 years time. And when the collective consciousness is now becoming a lot more familiar with that fourth density scope, then this is how it can become a truly pure fourth density acclaimed planet. So that is what we can share as it relates to that question. Thank you very much. We thank you all for your questions. I am Adronis of Sirius, and we now return to the conduit, who will speak to you again, as now is forever, and all is one. Goodbye for now. Okay, great. So a lot of powerful information being shared here today. And again, I'll work to see if I can get another top 5 video going for October as well. There's been a lot of projects and new things, new happenings taking place. But anyways, I hope you guys have enjoyed the top 5 for September, and I look forward to speaking to you again. Feel free to visit my website, realitywhisperer.com, contact section if you have any questions on this video or other videos on my channel. And I look forward to speaking to you again in another perspective of now. Take care. Namaste, and may it be well with you. Goodbye.